to everybody celebrating. If you're above the age of 13, I better not see you trick-or-treating this evening. Because if you knock on my door, I'm not giving you candy. No, Erik, I'm not giving you candy if you show up to my house. But we don't just have Erik Ruby here for Halloween. Erik's going to be hopping on from time to time here on the PHNX Sun Devils show. And if you missed it, I'm Anthony Totri, dressed in costume as Anthony Totri. Erik, who are you for this lovely Halloween?
I wanted to go as Anthony Totri. I was going to wear my sunglasses today, but I was looking for them this morning and I couldn't find them.
Maybe Coach Prime. Maybe he'll dress up as me for Halloween.
I'm thinking I'm going to order some of the Coach Prime sunglasses that will get delivered 8 months after you order them and then probably break five times after wearing them. But
the amount of people that have bought in Coach Prime sunglasses is absolutely ridiculous. But
I know some people who have bought the Coach Prime sunglasses.
I want to know how much they are.
Like $60, I feel
are they
like.
actually?
I don't know. I'll look it up right now.
That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy that they're that expensive.
I can't believe I'm typing Deion Sanders sunglasses in for the beginning of my stint on the ASU show, man.
Look, we're going to be talking a whole hell of a lot about Arizona State today. We're going to be getting into what Kyle Whittingham had to say about the Arizona State defense. While we're talking about the ASU defense, the improvement that we've seen from Donnie Henderson's group last season to Brian Ward's unit this year, the numbers are ridiculous. We're going to get into that at a certain point. It's also, like I said, it's Halloween. So beware at the end of this show, ASU fans, you might get spooked because there are some terrifying things. They've got some.
I think you could take the word might out of that. You're going to get spooked.
I jumped and I knew what was on the graphic, to be completely honest with you. And it is the NFL trade deadline. Obviously, the Arizona Cardinals made a move this morning with the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to be getting into, if the trade deadline was a thing in college football, what Kenny Dillingham and this staff in Tempe might take a look at moving. But I think it's only fair, Erik, your very first, I guess, this is the first time you're on cam for
this
PHNX.
is the debut.
That's crazy, man. That's absolutely crazy. I remember you and I had coffee a few months ago at this point, kind of discussing, just like the industry in general and all that stuff. So it is awesome now to have you behind the mic and in front of the camera. What has it been like so far, just being at PHNX, and then obviously, now we get the chance to kind of shoot the shit about ASU.
Oh, dude, it's great. First of all, super excited to talk ASU with you. I remember one of the reasons why I actually grabbed and got coffee with you is because I've been following along with everything that's going on here. Yeah. You go to Kronk Guy, you work in sports, you're very tapped in with just kind of the industry in general. And I mean, this place is top tier, man. Just how everything operates, how they do things. And I was, following you because I knew you in college and went to ASU together. And I just it's like, man, I just want to come and is it really as good as it seems? Is everybody really that happy? Is the community really that great? Well, I could tell you firsthand, it is. Yeah. It is absolutely fantastic. It's great to make the in front of camera debut. I've been loving doing the Sun stuff behind camera. We got D-backs, all of that is fantastic. Excited to be along for the ride. I'm just ready to get into it, man. Because the record might not be that great for ASU football, but I'm loving some of the building blocks that we've been seeing. Genuinely been excited a couple times this season for sure.
Yeah, the idea of building blocks, I think, for this Arizona State team, and then we'll get into ASU basketball a little bit later in the show with Amir Ali, but that really is where we're at with ASU athletics. I feel like there are stepping stones, building blocks, whatever analogy you want to use. This is a program, football, basketball, even baseball, that is bamboo. There we go. That is truly building, feels like day after day. Before we get into ASU football, Donald in the chat, sorry, Erik, but Totri being late has cost you $25 to split with him for being late to the swear jar. What if I just put candy in the swear jar, Donald? Does that count by any means? Bees in the chat, Ruby is already a legend. And then Ralph,
oh, geez.
Trick or treat, welcome, Erik. PHNX Sports. Nah, Donald, this one's on me, producer Danielle. Look, we're a family here. We're a team. Everybody is going to put something in the swear jar today. But I'll tell you what, if I'm putting something in the swear jar, I am damn well going to earn it at some point.
Earn, not given.
This show. Yeah, you got to earn what goes in that swear jar, and I am going to definitely get my money's worth. But Erik, without further ado, let's get into ASU football. You brought it up. This is a team that's 2-6 now, coming off a big win over Washington State. They have Kyle Whittingham in Utah on deck. They're on the road. It's going to be arguably their toughest road test of the season with only 4 road games. Now, thankfully, for ASU fans, they don't have to worry about a guy with beautiful hair like Cam Rising playing quarterback, but this is a Utah team that thrives on toughness, that thrives on their competitiveness, their aggression, specifically in the trenches, something I talked about yesterday. But ASU's defense, it's been a point of emphasis this season, specifically. Brian Ward, obviously, in the last 2 weeks, I think, has had a lot of success against some high-powered offenses, and Michael Penix Jr. in Washington, Cam Ward in Washington State. Before we get into what Kyle Whittingham had to say about ASU's defense looking forward to Saturday, what have you seen from ASU's defense, specifically in these last 2 weeks?
I think what you're seeing the last 2 weeks is that growth that has kind of been promised throughout the entirety of the season, right? So you come in, and when you have a new regime, you have so many new players and so many different transfers, and like not just a new head coach, but look down the line, man, like it's a complete shift. It's hard to get a bunch of college kids on the same page, playing at an extremely high level.
Yeah.
I think Washington was the real statement.
Yeah.
Washington, you go in there and you say, hey, guess what? It doesn't matter what your ranking is. It doesn't matter what you're doing, how talented your quarterback is, or any of your weapons. We're now at a point of the season where we understand what we're supposed to be doing. We've been playing with each other for a good amount now. Think about this offseason for ASU in general. Like, it was very chaotic. And now it's like, okay, there's injuries. Obviously, football brings a lot of that. But now we're getting to the point where you can see, hey, this guy's playing for this guy. Like, they're not on different pages.
Yeah.
And I think that has actually really started to pay off in not just Washington. And they, of course, allowed a little bit more points against Washington State. But you can't expect to be shutting down like that every single week.
No, you're absolutely right. I think early on in the season, which is part of the reason why defensively we didn't maybe see the number of takeaways that ASU fans and even the ASU defense was hoping for. But to your point, it does feel like they have started to get a little bit on the same page, and we're not the only ones taking notice. Kyle Whittingham, during his Monday press conference, giving a little love to that Arizona State defense.
Arizona State's been playing some pretty good defense. They're in the upper half of the league in most every category defensively, and so that, we expect a big challenge. But that is, to answer your question, is a big part of any team's success. Is a lot based on how stingy the defense is they're playing, how good they are, and that type of thing.
This is something I know Kenny Dillingham has to love. Just being the idea that Kenny Dillingham on Monday was talking about how Kyle Whittingham in Utah really is the gold standard for what he hopes this program will eventually be. Kyle Whittingham, most notably the Utah coach for quite some time now. We'll see if Kenny Dillingham has the luxury of being that Arizona State coach for this long. But when we're talking about the growth of this Arizona State defense, we're talking about Michael Penix Jr. taking notice. We're talking about Cam Ward taking notice, Kyle Whittingham taking notice. This is an ASU defense, Erik, that was absolutely abysmal last season. Just taking a look at the numbers between this year's defense and last year's defense, you can clearly see the differences just in total yards allowed per game. ASU last season giving up 421 yards per game. This year, cutting that to 340. In terms of the rushing defense, last year, Donnie Henderson's group was giving up 188 rush yards per game. To compare, ASU this season, barely over 100 at 104 yards per game. In terms of sacks, last year, 17 total sacks through all of their games. This year was still a handful of games left on the docket. They've got 21. And then this is a big one, points per game. ASU giving up almost a touchdown less this season. Last year, they averaged 31.4 points per game, or at least their opposing offenses did. And then ASU giving up 26.5 points per game this season. Erik, what about this group? What about Brian Ward's scheme has allowed this unit to improve so drastically? And in reality, it's only been 8 games that they've been able to make such a ridiculous difference.
Right. It's tough because I don't even think the numbers are where they want it to be. And you have to kind of look at this program and say, all right, where's the improvement? And now you are seeing, hey, look, these are the numbers. I think that you can look at individual players, and we'll dive into a couple that have really stepped up. But I want to not get too cliche here, because I think that sometimes when you talk about sports and one guy playing for the guy next to him, it kind of it comes off a little dull.
Yeah.
Right. And
it's coach speak.
Right. But the thing with Kenny in general and this entire staff is that you can kind of tell when there's more substance to the speak. Mm-hmm. And I think this staff has that. And I genuinely believe those numbers, the things that have improved, are because of the people calling the plays and the people and the practice habits that you have. Like when you play defense in college football, look, you're gonna go against guys that are probably better than you. Some top NFL talent. But why do we see so many upsets in college football? Why do we see so many moments where it's like, wow, how did ASU go and play against extremely high-ranked Washington and almost pull out a win? It's because the guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And when you saw Herm Edwards and his staff, it felt like they were lost on every play. It felt like, okay, you got one stop. Okay, here, the next play, they're going to go down the field and they're going to march down for a touchdown. Or why is that guy not communicating with him? This guy just ran right up the middle for 10 yards when he should have just blocked the gap and got him.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening as much this year. And it's those small little plays where the communication is better that over time and over a season continue to add up and add up. And I mean, to be frank with you, they were doing it at the beginning of the season when things weren't that great. And now as they continue to get more into the season, it just continues to get a little bit better. And I like somebody like Jordan Clark.
Yeah.
Right. And he's been very vocal. He's one of the vocal leaders on the team. Whenever he's been asked about maybe somebody not stepping up to the plate or the ASU defense in general not being where they need to be, he takes responsibility. Yeah. He talks about, okay, this is what we need to do to solve the problem, and here's how we're going to correct it. That wasn't the case a year ago. 365 days ago, that wasn't the vibe around this team. I'll take responsibility and I'll move on and we'll fix it. That just wasn't the case.
Yeah, communication, I think you bring up a very, very valid point that communication is a big reason why this team has been able to improve, not just defensively, but there are some statistics offensively that they're improved as well. And a lot of that is going to be put on the players. Obviously, credit to them for really buying in, but the coaching staff for coming in and making communication such a priority for this team and in the culture. Glenn brings it up in the chat, better stats than last year, but better offenses in the Pac-12 and quarterbacks this year. That's impressive. Yeah, that is certainly something to make note of, right? The Pac-12 this year is as good as it's been in about a decade now. Obviously, the quarterbacks are what they are in this conference with Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Caleb Williams, etc. Like, this is an impressive feat for an Arizona State team with an entirely new coaching staff, with countless new players. I think the big tasks now for ASU against some of these other teams, like a Utah, right, is we know Washington, we know Washington State, we know USC, we know they love to air out the football. Utah is a little bit of a different animal because their style of play is we're going to beat you into the dirt for 4 quarters.
It's ground and pound.
Absolutely. So if ASU's defense can do what they've done up to this point so far in the year, then I think they put themselves in a really strong position to kind of go what Bees is saying, right? Utah on upset alert. Like, this is certainly a prime time spot for Arizona State to try and elevate what they did last week. And I think that's what we've seen week over week. We've seen Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham talk a little bit about we want to get better, right? We want to get better even in the little things every single week, even if that means that we're not getting the rush of a win, right?
Right.
He said it on Monday. It takes a different kind of player, a different kind of coaching staff, a different kind of animal to get back to work on a Monday right after you lost. Mm-hmm. And you improve every single week, and now you get the win. We'll see if you can take that little win over an unranked Washington State team and turn it into, okay, let's go get a little win against an AP top 25 team in Utah.
I love looking at themes throughout all sports, right? Yeah. Because yes, football is different than baseball, different than basketball, NFL is different than college, but there are certain themes that always carry through. And if you look in Arizona specifically, something I'm super excited about, back when I was covering like the Cardinals and even looking at ASU now is, hey, they know that wins and losses is not going to determine whether this season is successful. Now, look, players and coaches are going to go into every single game and they're going to want to win. There's no going around that. But the true cultures, the stuff that is established, like a Whittingham in Utah, who's been around forever, when he first started there, it's a slow burn. Yeah. You can't microwave a good college football program. You can't microwave a good NFL team. The Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon, they're talked about their progress and like how like their message is getting across the team, even though it's maybe not leading to success. All the players are bought in because they believe in what they're doing, win or loss. Torey Lovello in the middle of the Diamondback season, when they were losing 1 million games, was saying we're not doing anything technically wrong in preparation. We know what we're doing. We have a plan. We go out. We just haven't been able to execute it. But we have a culture. That is what ASU's doing with Kenny Dillingham. And they're going to get their wins. They got one of them recently. And that is a huge, huge victory. But that's not the only way they win this season. And that's a big testament to Kenny Dillingham, where you can still keep a group of guys bought in when the on-field product isn't where you want it to be.
Yeah.
And it's not. How could it be where they want it to be right now? If it was, then Kenny Dillingham would be fired, right? So I just think that I love the vision. I love that there's a direction for this team and that it's not just like a prior regime, we're going to send you to the NFL. You're going to come here and we're going to be the NFL factory, which, to be fair, there's a lot of ASU players from that time in the NFL. But they're saying you're going to come in and you're going to be a Sun Devil.
Yeah.
You're going to come in, you're going to do things our way. And in a year or two, once you can look back at this season and say, hey, we knew that maybe the wins and losses were going to not be where we wanted to be then, but we stuck with the vision. We kept to it. We recruited in-state. We had everybody here want to be here, want to buy into ASU and everywhere around there. And look at what happened. And I'm not an optimist. Like, when it comes to sports, I'm not an optimist, especially when it comes to local sports.
Yeah.
Not one. I'm pretty optimistic about Kenny Dillingham, about Jonathan Gannon, about, like, obviously the Diamondbacks. Like, Dillingham falls in that category for me now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's somebody that, even more so than the other guys, because he does have those local ties, right, is somebody that you want to root for. And regardless, win or loss, seeing the improvement statistically is big.
Yes.
And I think it sets the foundation for what Arizona State is going to be in the future, specifically when you get to the Big 12. I think all eyes are going to be on next season and the year after. And I almost fired off a tweet earlier today, right? Like, I know it hasn't been the greatest season in the world, but give it time. Give the staff time. Give Kenny time to get his guys in here, the guys that he wants to go out there and recruit. Not taking anything away from some of the players on the team, but it is completely different. Kenny and this staff are going to recruit their guys, the guys that they want, with that sort of blood, sweat, and tears that they believe makes a good Sun Devil. And you look at some of the freshmen that have already contributed this season, or that could potentially contribute if it wasn't for injury, right? CJ Fight playing on that front seven really, really well. You look at a guy in the back half in Montana Warren, who obviously got hurt pretty early on in Camp T, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of him this season, but a guy that was definitely in the two deep. You look at Caleb Black, who is, in all honesty, one of the most fun projects that I think Arizona State fans can potentially look forward to in the future. And then obviously Jaden Rashada at quarterback is another big one. We'll see what that looks like. From the sounds of it, Jaden Rashada was practicing in some capacity today, so it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be ready to play on Saturday, but it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. I do want to get to Donald's super chat that he had a little bit earlier. Donald with a $19.99 super chat saying, here's to a dub against Utah and a little extra for the Wagons swear jar. Tell the mayor I'm paying some fees. Absolutely, Donald. We appreciate you. We appreciate that super chat, and we appreciate everybody watching as well and listening on audio. Do Bobby Hurley a quick little solid. Just hit that like button. He's begging, he's pleading every single day, the same way he's begging and pleading to those recruits and commits. We'll get to what Bobby Hurley and Arizona State basketball are up to here in just a little bit. But first, I want to tell you guys a little bit about one of our new sponsors, Hero Bread. They make sliced breads, buns, tortillas, and they're all available on hero.co and Amazon. And guys, look, the best part about Hero Bread is that we're not going to sit here and tell you that it's low carb, but it's a lower net carb, right? Because it has so much fiber in it for you, and we know fiber is great for you. Regular traditional bread out there, I'm going to be real with you, it's not great for you. But
it's really
not great for you. But Hero Bread actually has found a way to make bread, carbs, good for you. So definitely go check them out if you need a low-carb option to fit your lifestyle or dietary constraints. Founder Cole Glass baked 100 muffins per day before he found the perfect blend that fit his allergy constraints. That's what pushed him to start Hero Bread. Guys, right now, Hero Bread is offering listeners 10% off their first order. Just go to hero.co and use that code PHNX to save on Hero Bread today. That is hero.co to save 10% today.
Back to your point about bread being bad for you, though, because it's one of those things, like, you grow up and you don't think about it, right? And then you actually start looking into it, and look, man, I love me some bread. That Suns community in there.
Bread is great.
Like bread is great. And the fact that Hero Bread can be like, hey, not many things in life are like you can enjoy and also not maybe pay for it on the back end.
That's fair.
Hero Bread says, hey, man, I got you.
Yeah, we got you.
I got you. You
We
can
got your
enjoy
back.
it. Like, you want to have some bread, but you want to not feel bad about yourself afterwards, or you want your stomach to feel a little bit better. Like,
They're heroes. That's literally what it is.
It's in the name.
Hero bread.
It's in the name.
Get it in you.
I want to talk about one of our newest partners, though. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Now, I got to tell you, I was out at our first Cardinals live show this past Sunday, getting everything set up over at Wild Horse Pass. It's so cool.
Yes.
It's the first time that I walked inside a Wild Horse Pass. It's genuinely so cool. And there's going to be tons of events there for a bunch of different teams and our shows that we're going to have there that you guys can go out. They are by far and away one of the coolest places that you can go to in the state. They also have the $1 million Big Reds Showdown at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequiva, Santan Mountain. You can sign up for it, stay in the game, and get rewards. It's easy. You can win up to $100,000 cash as well. You got to be 21 and over to play. They got monthly drawings, weekly pick'ems. If you want to have fun, win a little money, and watch your favorite sports teams, you got to go to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And hey, you might find us there. And I don't know about you. I think we're pretty fun to hang out with.
I mean, I would
as,
say
as a company, I think we're a pretty fun time.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
All right, visit GilaMillion-Showdown.com. Get in the action. For more information on Gila River Resorts and Casinos and all they have to offer, head to play, Gila.com.
Do it. Get on it.
Why not? Why not?
There isn't a reason. Glenn in the chat, butter on bread is better, right, Totri? Listen, Glenn, just because Shane and Sean aren't here doesn't mean that I am just going to throw away my ideals and what I stand
wait,
for.
Wait.
Oh, we're not doing this
No,
again.
we're doing this. You don't like butter on bread, or you do like butter on bread?
So as of like months ago, I had never actually had just butter on like toast or anything.
That explains
I swear
a lot.
I've never had it. I have since tried butter on bread. It's all right. I've got, it's fine. It's not better than peanut butter on toast. It's not better than jelly on toast. It's not better than jam on toast. It's not better than honey on toast. It's not better than bacon on toast. It's not better than avocado on toast. I'm going to tell you right now, butter in the power rankings of things on bread, not in my top 5. Gonna be honest with you. It is what it is.
I'm going to let you live with that one.
Glenn knew what he was doing, man. Glenn got in here and was like, you know what? I'm just going to drop a little butter and bread grenade in this comments, and we're going to see how Totri takes it.
Totri staying true.
Hey, man, like I said,
stand by your morals, stand by your values. Don't let people change.
What am I? If I don't stand for this, then I stand for nothing.
If I don't stand for anti-butter on bread, then what does Anthony Totri stand for?
Nothing at all, to be honest with you. But
Totri, after that take, I don't really want to hear it about my Shrek opinions anymore.
Oh, stop it. We are not getting back on it. She says Shrek is not a good movie.
Oh, that's bad.
That's a horrible take.
It's a bad movie.
No, it's not.
No,
and there's no such thing as too much butter on toast.
No, you can have as much butter of it as you want. I just don't care for it. It's just to me. That's exactly what it is.
Way to deflect from the Shrek take after you dropped that bomb in there.
It's a bad movie.
Oh my gosh.
I just don't agree. I'm sorry.
I can't get it's not Friday. I can't get into Shrek right now. Otherwise, I'll lose it. I do want to get into Bobby Hurley in Arizona State because yesterday was a hell of a day for Hurley and the Sun Devils. Touched on it a little bit just about Amir Ali, the 4-star, 6'8", 190-pound IMG Academy forward committing to Arizona State over the likes of Kentucky, Kansas, Alabama, Arkansas. It is still crazy to think that there's a basketball player out there that chose Arizona State other than those 4 schools. Nothing against Hurley, nothing against the program. Those are just 4 really, really elite collegiate basketball programs.
It really means a lot, especially in the NIL days. Like that's a really big deal. That's a huge win for them. Huge win.
And you're considering this is a guy in Amir Ali that when he gets here, he will absolutely be a contributor. He will absolutely be a guy that I would not be surprised if he was starting as a freshman at a certain point in his career at Arizona State. So it is certainly going to be fun when Ali gets here. I had the chance to talk with the Athletics Tobias Bass, who ended up breaking the news of Amir Ali committing to Arizona State. So we're going to go ahead and show you guys that interview. I'm going to tell you what right now, Tobias is definitely a pro's pro, and I think you guys are going to find it pretty interesting as to what he had to say about Amir Ali. We are joined now by the Athletics Tobias Bass. Tobias, obviously one of the people who broke the news yesterday about Amir Ali committing to Arizona State over schools like Kentucky, Kansas, Alabama, Arkansas. I do want to start with Ali before we get into the rest of the Arizona State basketball program, but what led to Ali's commitment to Bobby Hurley in Arizona State?
I think he had a really good visit. I think they really sold him on how they could potentially use him. Hurley's done well with players like him in the past, those 6'7" type of wings that'll really go in there and be able to score it. He can score on all three levels, and I think Hurley really sold that to him. And they hired his brother on the staff recently, so I believe that also really led into it as well.
Was there any promise, I guess, of playing time at that point? Just because, at least from my perspective, what else would it be for a guy like Ali, who could certainly play just about anywhere in the nation, to come play in Tempe over some of those blue blood schools?
I think the guarantee of playing time, I don't know. I think Hurley's going to make everybody earn it, but I think there was an expectation. If you come here, we're gonna have you play. So I think you look at this final list. It was Kentucky, Alabama, Kansas, Arkansas. Kentucky's really going after Trey Johnson. Carter Knox, his brother, played there. Kansas has got a couple commits over the last couple of months or so. Alabama is really trying to get in there with a couple of guys as well, and same with Arkansas. So I think when it came down to it, Arizona State made the most sense just from a family member being higher perspective, playing time perspective, and how he believes they'll use him.
Absolutely. You brought it up a little bit earlier just in terms of Ali's scoring ability. What can ASU fans expect in the future from a guy who's a 6'8", 190-pound forward who plays at IMG Academy?
He's all about buckets. He's played in big games pretty much his whole life. So he's from Texas. So I've been watching him for a while. So he's kind of been all over. He played at Montverde for a season. He played at IMG, and he left again. So he's played with good players pretty much his whole high school career, and the same will be when he gets to Tempe. So ASU fans expect him to come in there and be a scorer from day one. He really knows how to play, high IQ, and he's gotten much better in his overall catch and shooting ability. So you pair him in there with like a Braylon Green and some of the other guys you brought in, he'll be a nice addition to their roster.
You mentioned Braylon Green, obviously Akil Watson, another one of the freshmen for Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to skip too fast beyond Ali, but is there any other potential commits or recruits that we could see potentially committing to Bobby Hurley in Arizona State here in the next couple of weeks?
One I would keep my eye on will be Ja'Kai Howard. I know he's also been on the visit recently. Cashmere Chavez, I think he's from Minnesota. He's another one they're looking at as well. So I would keep an eye on Ja'Kai Howard. I know that he really liked his visit when he was down there. I'm not sure on commitment date or when he'll commit, but he's one that I would keep a lookout for. He's played really, really well the past 2 months. I've seen him play at least 3 times. I went to Atlanta to watch him for the pro day, and I saw him in Vegas 2 weeks ago. So he's gotten much better.
Yeah, that's definitely something Arizona State fans can hopefully be looking forward to here in the next couple of weeks. As it relates to Bobby Hurley's team and Arizona State, just a few days away now, November 8th, is when Bobby Hurley and the Sun Devils have their first game of the season. What did you see really from this coaching staff in terms of what they built in terms of a roster in the offseason? Obviously adding a lot of pieces in the transfer portal, whether that be Zane Meeks, Kamari Lands, Adam Miller, etc.
They brought in 8 guys total. I believe 6 of them were coming in the transfer portal. They lost a lot. Austin Nunez leaves, Chambers leaves, Warren leaves. They lost some really key pieces. But what I did like, they did a good job of bringing in some older guys and some young guys. You look at a guy like Sean Phillip, who's a sophomore. You bring in Kamari Lands, who's a sophomore. Both these guys were top 100 players, so they're going to be able to build for the short term and the long term with those guys. And you bring in veterans, Adam Miller, Zane Meeks, Bryson Long, guys like that. So I think to be successful in college basketball, you have to have a good combination of old and young. They did just that. And I think that'll help them going forward.
Yeah, most definitely. This is an Arizona State team that just in the last couple of weeks in terms of scrimmages has beaten San Jose State. In overtime, they beat San Diego State. Jemiah Neal obviously being a big part in both of those games. What are your expectations for Arizona State, Jemiah Neal, and really this Sun Devil team this season?
I think they'll have a good season. I think that this will be the best the Pac-12 has been in probably a decade or so. It's unfortunate the league's breaking up, but I think they'll be right on the thick of things, probably in the top 4 to 5. I think they can get them a tournament bid as well.
Definitely. That's definitely the thing that Arizona State fans want to hear and they're expecting at some point this season. Last question before I get you out of here, Tobias. In terms of the Pac-12 as a whole, you brought it up. It's looking like it's going to be the best the conference has been in some time now, similar to the way that the football teams are playing. Who do you think is maybe going to be a surprise team to keep an eye on in the Pac-12?
Good question. I mean, it's kind of up in the air. One team I was looking at, I liked Cal, but Jalen Tyson, didn't get the waiver. That really, really hurt him. So I'm probably going to have to move them out. I don't know if this is a problem. I like what Oregon did. They brought back two of the top leading scorers. You bring in two McDonald's All-Americans and a freshman point guard who I think is going to be really good. He actually was on my top 20 freshman list. So I like Oregon's team. They haven't made the tournament, I think, since 2021. Not too long, but I think it'll be time they get back in the tournament. I think they do that this year.
I know there's a lot of people that are absolutely excited for college basketball to be back. The Athletics Tobias Bass. Tobias, thank you so much for taking the time today, man.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Shout out Tobias for coming on a little bit earlier, getting the chance to speak with him, man. He is really well connected in that space. So when he says be on the lookout for another potential commit or recruit in the next couple of weeks, you could take that to the bank. But Erik, just wanted to get your thoughts so far, just based off of the fact that, again, Amir Ali, a 4-star forward, again, IMG Academy, committing to Arizona State. I think a big part of what Arizona State fans can potentially expect to see out of Ali is when they watch ASU basketball this year. And now, granted, they're different players, but seeing the impact that a guy like Akil Watson or even a guy like Kamari Lands has on this program, similar-sized guys that are a little bit younger, not as far developed in this process, I think it's going to probably be a good idea as to what maybe ASU fans can expect to see from Ali in years to come.
Amen. First of all, he passes the name test with flying
You're
colors.
Absolutely right.
Amir Ali, it just sounds like he's going to put up 20 a game. You can't expect that coming in there. But I do think that Bobby Hurley has kind of established a everybody fight for yourself kind of culture.
Yeah.
And as you continue to get guys who are higher ranks, I think that's going to be I'm using a lot of cliche terms here today, but the iron sharpens iron, especially in college basketball where, some low scoring games or sometimes you're looking at potential of guys that just doesn't work out on the court. When you're in practice and you have a guy who's 6'8" and can go get you a bucket at all times, your defense is going to be sharper when you're in games because you're guarding him all the time. And so even if he's not out there starting right away, he's going to bring an interesting, just kind of a bucket dynamic. I kind of like the way to put it like that, a bucket dynamic. And that stuff is infectious. Plus, talk to players. This guy's at IMG Academy.
Yeah, you're right.
You read off the schools that he passed over to come to ASU. Kentucky, Kansas, Alabama, Arkansas. Not only for college success, but for putting guys into the pros.
Yeah.
Those are really good schools. Like Jordan Walsh was on the Celtics. He played in Arkansas. Obviously, Brandon Miller was one of the top picks, and I don't even need to say anything about Kentucky and Kansas. But when those guys come here, and Bobby Hurley can take them and say, all right, we're going to make you successful, but we're also not just going to come in and hand you the keys and say, you can do whatever you want because you're a high recruit, you're highly ranked. That's going to pay dividends in the long run. And I feel like in this transfer portal, NIL kind of madness, it feels like all the ASU programs are kind of starting to find their footing a little bit. I think he's a big sign of that. I'm really excited to see what he does and how a player like him who can go and get buckets like him and be kind of that spark plug can ignite a team. I don't know if Bobby Hurley's had a guy specifically like him before. He's had forwards, he's had guys that are as tall, but I think that particular skill set is few and far in between.
Yeah, it is really unique. You bring up the idea that you get a guy that can go out there and get a bucket, and I think the big thing with Amir Ali is not just that he is a guy that can go out there and get a bucket, but he can go get a bucket at all 3 levels, right? Mm-hmm. He can take it to the rim. He can get you a bucket there. He can shoot it mid-range. He can get you one there. And then if you need somebody to liven up this team shooting from behind the arc, Amir Ali can get that done as well, which is huge for a guy that stands at 6'8" at Arizona State. So certainly it is an exciting time for Arizona State basketball. Like I brought up with Tobias, November 8th, the very first Sun Devil basketball game of the season. They're in Chicago taking on Mississippi State, so definitely stay tuned for a post-game show next week on that. They've also got a revenge game, I'll call it, against Texas Southern next Saturday.
Forgot about that.
The same day that
Forgot about
ASU
that.
football plays UCLA. So it is definitely going to be a day of Sun Devil sports and a day of Sun Devil post-game shows. Again, next Saturday. So make sure you mark your calendars for that. We're obviously talking a lot about ASU basketball, a lot about ASU football, and the combination of Bobby Hurley with ASU basketball, I think, is great. The combination of Kenny Dillingham and ASU football, I think, is great. And the combination that I'm about to tell you guys right now might just be better. Now, the first part of that combination is this lovely little seltzer called Wink. If you haven't checked it out, they come in like little 2.5, 5 milligram cans. Not a whole lot, but they pack a hell of a punch when it comes to flavor. The flavor of those things is great. I'm a big, big fan of the blackberry one. The blackberry Wink is my personal favorite. And just because it has great flavor doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't pack a little bit of a punch when it comes to that THC that is in the Wink. Now, it's not something that's going to go out there and get you seeing the stars, but it's definitely going to be something that helps you take the edge off. And if you're an ASU sports fan, I'll tell you what, you definitely need it. Especially, I guess, if you're just an Arizona sports fan in general, you could probably use a Wink or two in your life.
I know me personally. I've needed a Wink or two in my life, and high stress situations, for better or for worse, with Arizona sports recently.
Absolutely.
So.
And if you're getting to maybe some of these Diamondbacks World Series games and the stress levels are even higher, maybe check out Countdown, because those are 25 milligram cans or bottles, I guess, if you want to call it that. They will also get the job done. It's available in either 2.5 milligram or 5 milligram cans. Like I said, you can find Wink right here in Arizona. Look for Wink at all Sunday Goods dispensaries in the Valley and Botanica dispensary in Tucson. You can also save money online by going to drinkwink.com and using that promo code PHNX for 20% off. Now, we're talking about combinations. That's the first part. Let's call Wink the quarterback of this duo, and then you got your Elijah Badger, your Jalen Conyers, the second half of that touchdown. Burrito Express, guys, Burrito Express. Shout out BE for getting us some phenomenal breakfast burritos in the office.
I'm eating one right after. As soon as this show ends, I'm running to the fridge and I'm grabbing one.
That's the great thing about PHNX is you've always got some sort of awesome food in the fridge. And I'm going to be honest with you, my personal favorite is when we get Burrito Express, because I tend to have breakfast burritos 4 days out of the week when they're in the office, and we're on day 2 in a row of having a steak and egg, and my goodness, it hits the spot every single time. They got locations all over the Valley, great prices, great customer service, and they've got some NIL deals with ASU athletes. So anytime you guys go to Burrito Express and get a burrito, you're technically supporting Arizona State athletes as well. So go check them out, grab a burrito, and give them a follow on social at Burrito EXP.
Nobody really does it like Burrito Express.
No,
I'll tell you that.
they don't.
There's nobody in the Valley doing it like them.
They really do make the best damn burritos that I've ever had.
And it's not just the burritos; it's like the community buy-in aspect of it, like as well. Like, you don't have to just go for the delicious burritos. It's a very large benefit of it, but you can go and be like, hey man, I'm a Sun Devil through and through. Maybe I'm not going to go out there and give a huge NIL deal to somebody or be like a sponsor, but you know what? I'm going to go eat my breakfast at a place that does invest in that. I am going to go eat some Burrito Express as soon as this is over. I have to.
If you are a Sun Devil fan, Burrito Express is definitely the place to be. Charles in the chat, grab some Burrito Express for breakfast today. Had to start my Tuesday with some good vibes, and it was exactly what I needed. Donald, also completely unrelated, Totri, better be in your spot tonight. We need it. Donald, I will be doing my darndest.
Now, we got to talk about Glenn, though. Glenn's saying these guys aren't even 30. What do they know about being a depressed Arizona sports fan? Unfortunately, you don't need to be 30 to know about being a depressed Arizona sports fan, and that's the problem. That's the problem, Glenn. We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Is that High School Musical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. God,
this is exactly what I expected to be.
Fire movie. What a fire movie.
I don't know. Danielle, what do you feel about that movie?
Welcome to the Sun Devils.
Yeah, how do you feel about High School Musical?
Yeah. I'm not the biggest High School Musical fan.
Oh my God.
Turn off the mic.
Listen, I am a huge Disney fan. I missed all 2 weeks ago going to Disneyland. I'm not the biggest fan of High School Musical. I haven't seen it since junior high, so like my opinions probably changed, but like when I was in junior high, I wasn't.
Live watch party. One screen ASU football.
I have an idea. We're gonna watch High School Musical and see how many views we can get.
One screen ASU football, one screen Shrek, and the other screen High School Musical.
I might cry, laugh, and throw up at the same time watching all three of those things. Not gonna lie.
It's a pretty good combination.
Well, it depends in the order, I guess.
Does it?
I think so.
We're
I
not
think
sure
so.
which one is going to correspond to which screen, but it'll happen.
It's all good. It's all good. Without further ado, though, we're going to be doing a little bit of a change-up today, just like some of those NFL teams are doing. If you didn't know, the NFL trade deadline is a thing, and it's officially passed. The NFL trade deadline is officially passed. Only a few teams making some moves. The Washington Commanders deciding that they don't want edge rushers on their team anymore, so they decided to ship them out. One to the Chicago Bears, one to the San Francisco 49ers.
The Cardinals made a move.
Cardinals made a move. They sent Joshua Dobbs, TikTok star and quarterback, to the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings ended up sending a guard to Jacksonville. I believe the Giants sent Leonard Williams, the Giants are the ones that sent Leonard Williams to Seattle, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm more focused on Joshua Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings.
You're right.
And you got to tap in with PHNX Cardinals as well, because they've been
Yes.
covering all of that. And not only have they been covering all of it, they've kind of been calling all of it before it happens as well. So if
They've
you're
been
not,
owning it.
yeah, if you're not going over and listening to Bo and Johnny and all the great work they do over there, I highly recommend it. They are on top of things as anybody could be.
Most definitely. B's in the chat going up 2-0 and getting absolutely destroyed. And the Cardinals versus Panthers collapse is enough depression for under 30s. Let's not forget the San Antonio Holmes toe tap against the Cardinals in Super Bowl.
Maybe we should forget.
Going on to the next segment.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into the next segment. We're talking NFL trade deadline. So Erik and I were talking this morning. You're like, you know what? How can we include the NFL trade deadline in our show today? So this is what we're going to do. We've talked about Arizona State football today. So what if Arizona State could make a trade? What if they could go out there and they could trade for somebody in conference without having to give up a player? Instead, maybe giving up some local favorites, maybe some potential PHNX employees to go get the job done. But look, let's be real. Arizona State could use some new stars, some new players on that roster. Erik, I want to start with you. What trade would you be making if you were Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils?
See, you want to start with me because you're going to get the people mad.
I know. It's what I do.
I know you're going to get the people mad. Look, Sun Devils, they need an offensive lineman.
Very
if
true.
we can throw the trade on the screen, let's just get people associated with it. ASU gets offensive linemen because they need one of those. Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm a big name guy. I think name is like probably the second most important thing in sports. He passes the name test. Here's what's going back in return. Oregon's receiving the Mirabella retirement community that's smack dab in the middle of campus that has also stopped them from doing live music events in there. They're getting that. That is not staying here. I'll tell you that.
You're not selling this too well there, Erik.
Okay, but here's where you come in with the punch, right? You get 2 2027 scholarships, and that's a pretty big
Get
deal
some
there.
players down the
Okay.
line.
Here's the real stuff. Okay, you get the title of #1 in innovation
That's a big one.
for the semester. For the semester.
So
Now,
we got 10 of them. We can spare, baby.
that's what I'm. Maybe
Are we
we'll
talking-
give them like the 2018 designation. Maybe is that better? The 2018 #1 in innovation designation instead of just giving it to them for a semester.
Are we talking about the rest of this semester, or are we talking about they get a full semester of being #1 in innovation?
They can get next semester.
They
Like,
get
if
next
this
semester,
this
okay.
trade's happening right now, they can pick a semester if they
Okay.
want it to be next year. Because all I know is no matter what semester it is, ASU is going to be the one who wins
That's
#1 in
true. That's
innovation. So they're going to have it to give out. Plus, the big one, you're going to get a Burrito Express gift card.
That is a big one.
That's the big one right there. So that's what you get. Maybe it's not enough for a massive offensive lineman. Maybe I just want to get rid of the retirement community in the middle of a college campus. That might be it. But yeah, I think that's what I would go with, and that's the easy landing for your trade. Totri.
Yeah, my trade's a little bit different. We'll get into that in just a second. The nice thing about your trade about Jackson Powers Johnson, right, is he's a 6'3", 320-pound offensive lineman that you're going to get more than 1 year out of because he's got eligibility. So you only got to trade a couple
Okay, they can have the STFC. They can have the STFC.
We're talking
They can have the
downtown or
STFC.
Tempe?
Downtown, if they really want to negotiate it, I can give them a couple floors of Tempe.
Couple
If-
floors. Can you
if
imagine
we need to
Washington
put
or
in-
if Oregon just had a couple floors of the STFC?
They
How
get
random.
the racquetball courts.
That'd be so random if it was just like Oregon University or the University of Oregon, whatever it is, has just like 3 green floors at the ASU STFC, that would blow my mind. Glenn with the perfect trade, in all honesty. He's not even trading for anybody to come to Arizona State. He's trading the Pac-12 refs out of conference. Just don't trade him to the Big 12 because, Arizona State's going to have to play in the Big 12, and we don't want to see those clowns anywhere.
Could you imagine? Could you, I might study the faces of all the Pac-12
just
refs.
to ensure that they're not the same.
Literally nothing ruins a game more. As sad as it is that, okay, yes, the Pac-12's ending and it's sad and, all the teams are actually good right now, so great timing. No more Pac-12 refs.
Like, Pac-12 refs are, they're looking for new gigs. Did you see last night? There was a Pac-12 ref that was in the Diamondbacks game. He was behind home plate.
Oh, my. We don't have enough time.
Don't even get me started, Totri.
It was tough. I was watching that. I was like, you're kidding. You're joking. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Well, let's go ahead and get into my trade. Like Erik said, it might piss some people off. The moment I sent it,
including me,
it pissed Danielle off. So this is what Arizona State's getting. Let me know what you guys think. In return, Arizona State, they've got themselves a quarterback, guys. They are getting Cam Ward from Washington State. They've got their answer at quarterback. And similar to Erik's trade, you're getting more than one season out of Cam Ward, which I think would be huge for Arizona State. Now, it is going to cost you a pretty penny because Washington State has themselves a hell of a quarterback at Cam Ward. They're getting the check box, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it, but if you want an ASU quarterback, you're going to have to trade a damn good burger, and that's why the check box is on its way to Wazoo as we speak. They're also getting 3 2026 scholarships. They're getting a Diamondbacks World Series ring, and I got to say this one super loud so he hears me. We're also shipping Max Simpson to Washington State for the remainder of the 2023 season. So, I'm sorry, Max, but
you need a quarterback.
You need a quarterback. This is what we got to do. I'm sorry. Donald in chat, Totri, this by far has to be the worst thing you've ever allowed yourself to put on screen, shaking my head. Look, man, you do what you got to do. Okay, you do what you got to do to go out there and get a quarterback. Arizona State makes the move. They get themselves Cam Ward at the deadline, and in return, they got to send away Chuck Box. They got to send away Max. Couple scholarships down the line.
You have to do it.
Washington State actually said that they would make the deal without Max, but Kenny said he really wanted to throw Max into that deal. So
yeah, I mean, look, it's more of like a hey, like take care of us, take Max from us, and we'll take care of. We'll give you Chuck Box, right? So like Chuck Box is the sweetener, so that they also take Max with them, right?
Yeah,
it's one of those, hey, we're gonna attach a little salary to this one and make it all even out.
You do what you got to do to go out there and get a quarterback. Okay, we're focused on the play on the field. I'm sorry that we had to make the sacrifice of the Chuck Box. Okay, I know I could piss some people off with my opinions about Chuck Box. I've only ever had it once. It was all right. It was good. It was good. Like,
now you're gonna put the camera on me. You're gonna put it on me.
You're gonna make me. Rest of the show.
We got Max over here running in because he's angry that we're trading him over to Utah.
Max.
Sorry, you're going to Utah. Plus, we got people in the comment like,
are you sending Max to Utah? I sent his ass to Washington.
Oh, to Washington. That's right.
Yeah, buddy, you got a new gig in Pullman. You got a new gig in Pullman. Max is over here. Let's go ahead and just show this graphic one more time so that Max can see what the deal is. Maybe he'll accept the sacrifice that he's making for the benefit of Arizona State. Arizona State is trading for Cameron Ward, and in return, Washington State gets Max for the remainder of the 2023 season. It's okay. We'll get you back at the end of the year. They're also shipping 3 2026 scholarships, the Chuck Box, and a Diamondbacks World Series ring.
Spin zone. Here's a spin zone.
Okay.
Max, you get a free vacation.
Max, you want a trip to Pullman.
Aren't you excited?
Sorry, Matt. What'd I say? I just complimented you guys. No free ads.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
I just complimented you guys. That's the part
I'm sorry.
Washington.
Donald, that's the meanest thing you've ever said. Totri might be worse at running a team than Ray Anderson.
Jeez.
Damn. Glenn said send Ray and Totri to keep check box. Wow. This is tough. Look, roast me. Do what you got to do. I'm for winners, okay? I'm for going out there and getting a quarterback in Cam Ward.
I'm glad you're getting a taste of how I felt on Friday with Shrek.
Yeah, that's fair. That's completely fair, to be honest with you. Look, if you want to place a bet on me surviving the day here at PHNX.
Under.
I don't know if you could bet on that on DraftKings, but they've got 1,000,005 other things that you could bet on DraftKings. So we're talking about the NFL. Obviously, last night, the Lions absolutely embarrassed the Las Vegas Raiders, which, Jimmy G, you're not the answer. You never have been. But if you didn't get the chance to bet on that game, there's NFL games plenty through. We got Thursday, we've got Sunday,
it's a sports
we've
equinox,
got
man.
Monday.
Like basically every single day.
You could literally bet on anything you want on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And now is the time because I've got a great deal. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweeter offer every single game day, guys. Get in on the football action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the app now and use that code PHNX. New customers can bet just $5 on anything to get $200 instantly in bonus bets only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code PHNX. The crown is yours, guys. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
You nailed that. Yeah, take a breath. Take a breath. I got you. Because I got to tell people about FOCO. Now, one of the best parts about being a sports fan is yes, watching sports, rooting for your team. But how are you looking when you root for your team? When you're at home, does your desk filled with all of your team's favorite players or anything like that? If it's not, you got to check out FOCO. They've donated some of the stuff around the set. They have all things that are manufactured by sports entertainment merchandise, apparel, accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items. Anything. You want to go, just scroll, lose a little bit of time in your day. You got some time to kill. Go to their website. Go and look for whether it's any football, basketball, whatever it is. Go to FOCO. You can check them out. They always have your back for Arizona sports. You can get the best gear around by visiting www.foco.com. Use code PHNX for all non-presale items. Use the promo code PHNX for 10% off. That's 10% off. You get to show your fandom in as many different ways as possible. Pretty sweet deal.
Oh, yeah. My favorite still is the little Diamondback straw hat that we have in the other studio. I wear that thing at all times, but I think someone has hidden it from me.
They didn't want you wearing it.
I don't know where it is.
You need to put it on while you're in the spot today.
That's fair.
Yeah, they got hats, they got shirts, they got polos, they got bags.
Literally.
If you need something relating to your team and any sort of merchandise, you go to FOCO. It's an easy answer to that question.
Oh, absolutely. If you need a Diamondback straw hat or maybe a Arizona Coyotes bobblehead, you go straight to FOCO. Now, if you need some bomb-ass merchandise like T-shirts, you go to gophnx.com.
That's right.
Become a diehard. Head over to the PHNX locker. Check out some of the new Diamondbacks shirts that we have in honor of that World Series run. We got this one, You're Fucking Dangerous, a new PHNX release. So definitely head over, become a diehard, because when you become a diehard, you're going to get one free t-shirt a year. Maybe you can utilize that to go grab yourself that wagon t-shirt that Erik was talking about, or any of the other great merch options that we have, including ASU, U of A, the Coyotes, the Cardinals, the Suns, the list
goes. Had a new Devin Booker shirt
drop. A new D-Book. It goes on and on, guys. Again, head over to gophnx.com today to become a diehard, because not only do we have great merch, but we got great content from our writers as well, and some awesome events with our community. So definitely, again, head over to gophnx.com and become a diehard today. Now, Erik, before we get out of here, I teased it a little bit. If you're an ASU fan, be advised.
Boo.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. Can't scare him yet. And I don't think the boos are going to scare him. I don't think our costumes are going to scare him.
I think your trade scared them.
I think you're right. I think my trade scared them. It might have scarred them. What we're about to put on the screen is terrifying, okay? It will send chills down your spine, and it might ruin Halloween for you. But that's why you come to us, to get scared, right? That's exactly why you tuned into the PHNX Sun Devils show today.
That's why I'm here.
It's because you want to be terrified, okay? So, Erik, I'm going to start with you, okay?
Cool.
What do you have that would scare the hell out of Arizona State fans here on Halloween.
You can confirm this. It took me about half a second.
Literally half a
To
second.
think about this one. Let's throw it up on the screen because I got to show you expectations. Whoa. Now, for our audio-only listeners, we love you. Let me explain this to you. Now, it's just a simple, corn maze with a dreary background, but the real scary part is you see a picture of Tayshaun Sherry and then Remy Martin from the year
Scary.
where they could have been maybe the number one team in the country and things were going great and then expectations settled in and I don't think I want to talk about that anymore.
Arizona State and previous relationships are why I have no expectations in my life. It's why I have no expectations in my entire life, to be honest with you, but mainly Arizona State, because are you kidding me? Expectations.
Every single time.
It's what burns you. What burns you.
With anything in general, right? Like any sports, like it feels like, oh man, like this is going to be a good season. And then you kind of get like kicked in the teeth when it's not. It just feels like whenever something starts to go right for ASU and it's like, oh man, like this is good. Oh yeah, this is great. Boom. Expectations hit. Even when expectations aren't high. I mean, look at Kenny at the beginning of the season. It's like, oh man, we're all excited. Oh, look at Kenny. Bowl ban. That's like, come on. Come on.
Every time.
Literally without fail.
Literally last year, ASU basketball, they got a number by their name. The very next game.
Crumbled.
San Francisco did some unspeakable things to that Arizona State basketball team right before Christmas or right before New Year's, whatever it was. It was an absolutely abysmal game. But you're right. Expectations are a scary, scary sight for Arizona State fans. But I don't think expectations are scarier than what I'm about to put on the screen.
I kind of agree with you.
Guys, if you're an Arizona State fan, this has got to be the scariest thing that you've ever seen. Okay, let me paint a picture for you. It is October 31st, 2023. It is a gloomy evening with a full moon, and you find yourself plopped down in the middle of a dark, rustic cornfield. And what pops out on both your left and right side? Not one,
but two.
But two Herman Edwards popping out of this cornfield. Are you kidding me? I would be hauling ass the other way. Because Herm Edwards, if he's popping out of the cornfield, the only thing that he's got in his hands are bowl bans and rule violations. That is the only thing that he could possibly have. And maybe a playbook that says, let's huddle every goddamn snap like it's 1980. That's the only thing that Herm Edwards has got coming out of this cornfield. If you're an ASU fan, you see Herm Edwards, you hear Herm Edwards, you turn on ESPN, you see him talking about the NFL, I immediately would advise you to turn it off because there is nothing scarier to anybody who rocks maroon and gold more than a lousy NFL former cornerback and an even lousier collegiate football coach than Herman Edwards.
Still haunts me in my dreams. Sometimes, you wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night and you have to go check the ASU football coaching staff to make sure that is over.
No, I'm pretty sure I have had nightmares where I wake up, like you say, in a cold sweat and I just, Herm! Like that's what it is.
I mean, it's like, Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, I get a knock on my door from my roommate. Like, is everything okay? Be like, no. He broke the rules. He broke the rules. We're still waiting on the NCAA to hand down the violations. It's tough. Bees in the chat. Now we're triggering PTSD. Really? Have you no mercy? Hey, man, it's Halloween. I told you we'd scare you. And there's nothing scarier for ASU fans than expectations and Herm Edwards. Okay?
It's a scary combination.
That's the real deal. That is the real deal. But that is going to do it for today's ASU show. Again, do us a solid. Do Bobby Hurley a solid. Hit that like button. He's always begging. He's always pleading. And if you enjoyed the content today, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me on social at Anthony_Totri. You could follow my man right here, Erik Ruby, at Erik Ruby. That is ERIK.
That's right.
RUBY for everybody listening. And then you can also follow Danielle behind the Mac at Abra. Danielle?
That is such a good handle, by the way.
It is. It is a great
Does somebody here actually get it? Do you watch Adventure Time?
I do watch
There
Adventure
we go.
Time.
Okay.
I was literally watching Adventure Time last night.
There we go.
Are you really?
Literally
That's
last
pretty
night.
crazy.
My fiance Megan, she's in the chat. Me and her, we were sitting on the couch. We were watching Adventure Time
I
last
knew
night.
I liked you, Erik.
That's right. Come on now.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Nobody invites me over to watch Adventure Time.
Totri, if you want to watch Adventure Time, I'm going to grab my Burrito Express burrito after this.
That's fair.
Crack open some Adventure Time.
We're cracking open Adventure Time?
That's right. We're getting right into it.
Bet some PHNX Sun Devils bonding moments, guys. But we are going to be back on Wednesday at 12:30 to continue talking about Arizona State like we do every single day. Two things before we get out of here. Thank you, Erik, for hopping on for your very first show. And then one more thing, guys. Go Devils. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.